Hottaman no Chitei Tanken is a strange milestone. This is the first Famicom game we're covering that doesn't have a Japanese Wikipedia page. That's going to become a lot more common as we go on. Fortunately, this game isn't obscure enough that I couldn't find other people talking about it. I won't always be that lucky. This is the first Famicom game by obscure developer Use. They were founded as a game company, and after a small set of Famicom games, they transitioned into adult material. The Chitei Tanken in the title is actually a twist on the Japanese title for the novel Journey to the Center of the Earth. So I felt Expedition to the Earth's Core was a good way to convey that. But I've seen it also simply rendered as Underground Expedition. Hottaman lived in a village at the base of a volcano. They started having a series of earthquakes, and the village would be destroyed if nothing was done. As the best digger in the village, Hottaman goes to the Earth's core to try to fix things. What that means for gameplay is that you proceed through 15 stages where you have to locate 4 keys hidden in treasure chests, and then get to the exit door. The game loops after that point. So it's kind of a puzzle-ish action game. Hottaman has to drill into the soil to make paths, and some of that soil is more difficult to drill through than others. There's also these blocks that will completely obstruct your path. To deal with enemies, he has a laser gun, not an air pump. I don't know why you'd think he'd have an air pump. Anyway, enemies can't dig through the soil, so they have to follow the same paths that Hottaman is cutting. One advantage that they do have is that they can spawn anywhere. That becomes a real problem because they can do things like spawn on top of you. The 4 keys that Hottaman is searching for are always in the same 4 chests on a level. The levels are pretty sprawling, but for a lot of them it's not too difficult to keep track of. Similarly, the exit door always appears in the same place. Often it's very close to a key as well, so if you can make that one your last key to pick up, it's awfully convenient. If you take too long to complete a stage, then these lines of magma shoot up from the bottom of the screen. They'll block your path, and it's very likely that they'll make the level unwinnable. And you can make levels unwinnable a few different ways. Hottaman has 6 items that you can pick up that will help him complete the stage, and these are in very limited supply. Some of them appear in chests, some of them are in these eggs that you run over and wait a few seconds for them to hatch. And one of them just appears as you're digging around. I'm going to start with the item that isn't an item. These strawberry-looking things are drill power-ups and let you move twice as fast through soil for a short time. It's used instantly when you pick it up. The rest of your items go to the toolbar in the upper left, each represented by a letter. You cycle through which item you're using by pressing the select button, and then you press B to activate it. The Z is a magma-proof suit which comes out of the eggs. With it you can just cross the lines of fire. R is a new ruby for your laser, and it extends how far you can shoot. The ruby can be found in the eggs as well. S's are doors that block enemy movement along the path. The doors are found while you're drilling through dirt. F and G are used to manipulate enemy movements. The F is a fruit which draws enemies to it, and the N is garlic which drives enemies away. They can be found in chests or eggs. Honestly, I didn't see a whole lot of difference in the pathing for enemies when I used these items. The most vital item is the dynamite, which can be found out in the open. You can use it to blow up some of the rocks that block your path. But only some. Other rocks are indestructible. In fact, there isn't a tell to know which rocks you can destroy and which ones you can't. You just have to use trial and error to figure out where the paths are. Of course, since there's limited dynamite, that is an issue. All the items you've collected go away at the end of a stage also. So there really isn't a reason to collect a bunch. As annoying as those items can be, they're not the worst gameplay aspect of Hottaman. These doors are teleporters that will take you to a random door, including the one that you're standing on. They only work when you press upward on them, so you'll often have to jiggle around a little bit to activate them. They can dump you out a door where an enemy is spawning on top of it, And there's some keys that you can only get by using these doors, so your only option is to just keep entering doors over and over again until eventually it drops you in the right place. This one's a real what were they thinking situation. I have a couple of gameplay tips. If you get stuck and can't move horizontally, it's because you're touching the top side of a block. You can move through the water, but you're stunned for a few seconds when you emerge from it. The enemy spawns increase in difficulty with the time you spend in a level, and correspondingly, they also increase points. Eventually, this big crab guy will spawn. He can't move vertically. He's also worth a lot of points, and you get an extra life every 20,000 points. So you can set up a little crab trap like this, and rack up a dozen extra lives right at the beginning. If I had to describe Hottaman in one word, it would be half-baked. It is one word, it's a hyphenated compound word. There's a lot of ideas here, just none of them are really fully formed. And everything, right down to the level design, just doesn't feel there. Hottaman is exactly the kind of game that Famidaily exists for. I was actually kind of excited to get a copy because the few descriptions I could find called it an action puzzler. And I couldn't find any videos of people actually explaining the game. So hopefully I've saved you from making the same mistake and playing this game.